Hey guys, it's Bree. I filmed this video a couple of times now, and I think every time I've done it, I haven't said things the way that I wanted to have said them, and I don't want to ever be unfair about a book. I just finished The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. This is a 2013 release that has gotten a lot of hype. It's mostly aimed, I think, at a YA audience, but not necessarily. It's one of those books that I think is intentionally supposed to straddle the line, something more along the lines of a new adult. It's about this girl named Paige, and she lives in an alternate version of our world where with Edward VII, things kind of went awry, and instead of kind of having our normal universe, a bunch of like spirit powers kind of were released into the world. Paige is, of course, a clairvoyant. Over time, the government has become more and more controlling and has essentially created walled-in cities that everybody is living in. And because the cities are walled in, they have a lot of control. And so they kill all of the clairvoyants they can find. Paige is a clairvoyant, and to avoid kind of being killed, she has joined a crime syndicate. It's one of 33 or so crime syndicates in London that are run by what are called mime lords, who are essentially just gang bosses for all intents and purposes. One day, Paige is taking public transit and she gets caught. They find out that she's a clairvoyant, somebody reads her aura, and then she gets taken away by the police. When she's taken away, she finds out that, hey, they haven't been killing all of the clairvoyants. Most of them, yes, but some of them they've been sending to these camps where they're fighting the secret war. It's a really interesting premise, and I like the idea behind the world. There are different types of people with powers, and they kind of have this really interesting internal structure. And it's really interesting. I think the idea behind a connected system of gangs is really neat, and it creates a lot of interesting potential, both because the gangs have to cooperate to avoid essentially detection by the law, but also because they're competitive. And the gang that Paige is a part of is run by this guy, Jackson Hall, who his big goal is to have the most powerful clairvoyant types in his gang and to kind of monopolize power. And I think both of those things really lend themselves well to having an interesting story. Really, we only see Paige for about 100 pages outside of these camps that she gets sent to, which makes sense, fine. And when she goes to these camps, she finds out about this new, this hidden war that nobody has known about, even though it's been going on for 200 years. And to me, it's unbelievable for me that with a close-knit society like you would have to have in order to have a successful underground kind of crime syndicate, that no one knows about this, because they keep sending these clairvoyants back into London to fight part of their war. They're clairvoyants who are kind of undercover working for the government, that nobody knows about this, and that there aren't whispers of these like magic spirit monsters. It was unbelievable to me, and that was just the start of it. Once Paige gets to the camp, all talks about the outside world really kind of stop. There are a lot of flashback scenes, but those are mostly illustrative of some of the relationships that she's had in the past, more than they are about her own character development, I think. There are hints of character development, but it focuses far more on kind of romantic interest. So in the camp, she finds out there's this race of, they're called Raphames, and they're essentially like super clairvoyants that came over from the ether, or the other world. And they're, doing terrible things to the humans that they've got. and they're fighting these like zombie spirit monsters, which could be cool, right? Could be cool. Um, but Paige and the story that Shannon really takes her down is far less about this new world that she's entered into and her attempts to escape or cope with slavery. And it's much more about her romantic interest with this one particular Rafame called the Warden, who is like her overseer. And he's 200 years older than her and feeds off of humans and does creepy things when she's asleep. Like, is this sounding familiar? Because it's a little bit Twilight derivative. Paige finds out that he's doing these really terrible things that are betraying her trust, and her reaction to me was really just like unfazed. And I mean, these are things that would destroy friendships or relationships or, familial relationships, even the kind of things that he's doing. And it's like, she says that she's really upset, but 30 pages later, she's like, oh, I'm not really that upset about it anymore. And to me, that shows that you're either not taking the time to really develop things or that you don't much care to develop them in the first place. And that's problematic to me as somebody who really values character development. And once she goes there, I found that a lot of her character development really stopped. And a lot of kind of the interesting world building gets neglected. A lot of the plot it skips over significant events. Even before that, I was having problems because Shannon does a lot of these information dumps. And instead of doing them in text, which is a little bit more forgiving, she has characters talk for 2 or 3 pages about what's happening, where like a character will give a speech for 2 pages about the magic system. And to me, that's just really, it's like the worst kind of tell not show. Overall, I gave this book a 2.5 stars. It would have been lower, but I really do think that the world is interesting. I do have The Mime Order, which is the second book. I'm going to probably give that a read and see if it gets better. And I'll let you know about that when I actually get around to it. But this was not my favorite book of the year by any means. If you have a different opinion, I would love to hear it. I'd love to, see if maybe there's something I missed or I'm not tuning into. Again, I'm not the, I think, ideal age for this book. And I think on top of that, because I read a lot of really detailed, intricate fantasy and sci-fi, I'm a little bit less forgiving of an imbalance in world building and plot. So, it may just be that it's just not the book for me and I'm not its target audience. Anyways, I hope you all are having a fantastic reading week. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.